do things for reasons. They're not always what we would call logical reasons, but
Right.
it's very deeply psychological. If you start to understand that all humans are working from incomplete information. We didn't talk about projective tests. We didn't talk about tarot cards in this, but like tarot cards are like Rorschach tests. The idea is that you see a picture and you sort of project something onto it, and it's kind of useful, honestly, because it helps you talk about things that but you're not really
No.
ready to totally deal with. Yes, I'm
All
actually
right.
all right. All right, I'm
You
kind
know
of a
what?
fan,
This
but
is
I
actually
wanted
like the
right.
hold
I
on.
wanted
This is like the third time. No, this is the second time
yeah.
this week. I had an interview and that I thought was going to be like super one thing, and then at the end I'm like, fuck. Now I need to rethink this. And I think you might have got me on tarot cards. Let's see,
Oh yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna tell you how I view them, and then
Okay.
I would love you to try to change my opinion on that.
All right.
So because I've always lumped it in with astrology.
Yeah.
I think it's people taking these cards like the death, the whatever, and I've always looked at it as people that are afraid to make decisions for themselves, and so they are always looking for third party guidance into what is going on. And
Yes.
isn't it just the same in which, let's say, the tarot card brings up something that leads you in a certain direction?
Hmm.
Isn't it possible that these directions could be unhelpful and just good if they're lucky, and when we wouldn't be better off either speaking to a friend that knows us or just thinking about it ourselves and trusting ourselves to make decisions? Like, where do you think tarot cards aren't as disastrous as astrology?
Okay. So, if I'm going to talk about tarot cards, I'm going to talk about the Rorschach test. So we all have heard of the
Okay.
Rorschach test, right? Because we've heard of there's been characters named after that, and that's where they show you some ambiguous blobs, and you tell me what you got here, right?
Right.
And that is a really quick and easy way of accessing what's kind of going on in your subconscious. We all have subconsciouses. That's not like a myth. So a
Mm-hmm.
lot of I just want to say a lot of Freudian stuff. We kind of know that's not how it works, but it makes
Right.
sense to still talk about a subconscious.
Okay.
So what with tarot cards, when it's done well, when it's not like the person going, I have a special connection to the what's beyond the veil, and I will interpret this like with the spiritual messages and all that, right? Because there's no magic to tarot cards. They're Rorschach tests.
Right.
They are the images that have a lot of potential interpretations, and however you interpret them is however you interpret them. Then that can be a way into the subconscious
Hmm.
so that you can kind of see what's going on. Because again, you're the one creating the story, not the cards. You can say
Okay.
and I don't know the tarot card things that much, but if you can say like the Seven of Swords means backstabbing or whatever it means, but then that's
Right.
still part of the story that you are telling yourself, and you'll either say, well, I don't know what that is, so never mind.
Right. Well,
or
hold
you'll
on.
say,
Well, hold
oh,
on.
or you'll say, oh, that's what's going on with Jenna, and then now that comes out in the open.
Right. Well, but couldn't it be, because again we do contain multitudes?
Yeah.
Couldn't like drawing a bad card just play on one side of you or the other? Whereas if you could have a friend to be like, no, like, Jenna's intention was this,
Yeah.
and she's not trying to or whatever, and that's dealing with reality. Whereas
Yes.
if you happen to think Jenna's bitch, and then you get this Seven of Swords, you're like, I knew it. That
Yeah,
bitch was
exactly.
talking to she was talking
But
to Brad behind my back. So like, so where is it helpful?
well, it could be how it depends on how you take it. If you take it as I am feeling like Jenna's been backstabbing me, as opposed to fact Jenna's been backstabbing me,
Right.
then you can explore what's actually going on and why you're feeling that way and what might be that, and see if there's any beef with Jenna that you can fix.
I think you're being quite generous because you have more of like a skeptical lens. So I think you're
I do.
taking how well, clearly, yeah, but I think you're taking tarot in a
I
really pragmatic way,
as
whereas like
yeah,
those things don't really come with instructions.
they don't
I
come with
think
instructions, and people
it
take
will
it.
just
Uh,
exploit how
I
people are.
I will give you the wooest example. I was at Burning Man, as Californians are wont to be, and and I was waiting in line for coffee, and there was a guy doing tarot, and I was like, "What the hell?" Right? So I did. This
Right.
was while I was still in grad school, and I was like, how's it going to go with my dissertation was my question. And he's putting the cards down, and he's just like, I don't know what to tell you about this, because you got death and then resurrection, and I don't know what that means. Do you know what that means? So I was like, I don't know what that means, but so that would basically be, that could lead me in several different directions. That could be lead me to say, you know what, I'm getting defeated by this, I'm out, I'm going to do something else, right?
Right.
um I didn't necessarily take it that way. I was like, oh, that's interesting, let's see how it plays out. And so later, and again, I am a human being as well as a psychologist, I was like, well,
Mm-hmm.
I guess that was kind of like I needed to let go of a certain amount of my ego, so maybe that was some kind of ego death to then allow me to finish my dissertation and move on with this. I don't know. But, the thing is, I'm
Right.
twisting, that I want to make clear is that I am twisting the story to fit what happened.
Right.
And,
I think
and
what I'm coming
also
away with
it
is
took
that
like
it.
3 years for that to play out. So if, again, if it
Yeah.
wasn't at Burning Man,
Actually, you know
it
what?
might have nothing to do with anything, right? Might not even remember it.
Well, I think that's the part. I think we want to make these things come true, and so like 3 years later, you found a way to connect
Yeah,
those
exactly.
dots. I think
That's,
the only
yeah,
thing I
that's so much
accept if
about it.
someone's just like, yeah, I think they're fun. Then that's fine.
Yeah,
Like
no, I would
even people to
agree.
say,
I would
even
agree.
people say to me that like, oh no, I don't believe in astrology. I just think it's fun. And then all of a sudden they're trying to ask me what day I was born, and I'm like, this is not fun anymore. I don't know what you're talking about.